The twin suns of Orion Prime rose slowly over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city of glass towers. The morning light shimmered through silver streets and touched the royal palace that stood at the heart of the capital. It was the day of the Queen's selection, a ceremony that happened only once every 10 years. Every person in the city was awake long before sunrise, waiting to hear one name that would change everything. In the center of the city square, thousands of citizens gathered. Soldiers stood in bright armor, and banners of the royal house waved in the wind. Children sat on rooftops, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Queen. From high above, royal drones floated in circles, recording the event for the colonies spread across the stars. The Queen was not only the ruler of Orion Prime, but also the guardian of the entire human federation. Her choices shaped the fate of many worlds. Among the crowd stood a young engineer named Rian. His uniform was plain gray, only with the symbol of the Mechanical Guild. He wiped his hands with a piece of cloth, nervous and excited like everyone else. He never cared much about royal events. He was used to fixing machines and power grids, not standing among nobles. But his friend Milo had convinced him to come, saying this ceremony only happened once in a lifetime. The royal platform floated into the air, made of shining crystal that reflected the suns. When Queen Mira appeared, silence spread across the square. She was tall and calm, her silver robes flowing with soft light. Her crown was made from living metal that shimmered like water. No one knew her true age. Some said she was a descendant of ancient rulers who could speak to the stars. Others said she was chosen by the crown of Solara itself, a relic older than human memory. She raised her hand and the crowd bowed as one. Her voice carried through the air, strong yet gentle. People of Orion Prime. Today the crown has spoken again. It has chosen the one who will stand beside me as protector and guide. This one will share the duty of guarding our people and keeping the peace of our stars. A soft hum filled the square. The crown on her head began to glow, and a beam of light rose from it, pointing straight toward the crowd. The people gasped as the light stopped in front of Rian. Every head turned toward him. The crowd parted slowly as the light wrapped around his body. Milo stared at him with wide eyes. "Rian, what did you do?" he whispered. Rian froze in shock. He wanted to step back, but his feet felt heavy. The Queen smiled faintly and said, "Come forward." The royal guards opened a path. Rian moved like a man in a dream, climbing the crystal stairs until he stood before the Queen. Her eyes studied him carefully. They were calm and bright like the morning stars. She said, "You are Rihan of the Mechanical Guild. The crown has chosen you." Rian bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, I am only an engineer. There must be some mistake." "There are no mistakes," the Queen said softly. "The crown sees beyond titles and names." The crowd whispered among themselves. Some looked jealous, others confused. No one understood why a simple worker would be chosen when many brave soldiers and nobles waited for years. But the Queen did not explain. She raised her hand again, and the beam of light faded. The ceremony ended with royal music. The guards led Rian toward the palace. Inside the palace, everything shone with beauty. The walls were made of transparent metal that shifted colors with the light. Strange floating lanterns followed Rian as he walked, lighting his path. He felt small in the middle of such wonder. When he reached the inner hall, he saw the royal advisors, nobles, and commanders gathered around long tables. The head advisor, a tall man named Varan, frowned. "Your Majesty, with respect, this man has no training for royal duty. He cannot be the protector." The Queen looked at Varan. "You question the will of the crown." Varan bowed quickly. "Of course not, Majesty. I only seek to understand." "You will understand in time," she said, then turned to Rian. "From this day, you will live within the palace. You will train with the royal guards, learn our history, and prepare for the tasks ahead. Do you accept this role?" Rian hesitated. He had lived his whole life fixing machines, not living in castles. But as he looked into her eyes, something inside him felt a strange pull, as if a voice deep within was telling him that this was his path. He bowed again. "I accept, your majesty." The queen nodded once. "Then your new life begins." The following days passed like a dream. Rian was given a room overlooking the city, filled with technology he had never seen. Every morning, he trained with the guards under the sun. They were stronger and faster than him, but he learned quickly. At night, he studied old records about the royal line and the history of Orion Prime. Yet every time he saw the queen in the halls, he felt the same question rise inside him. Why him? Queen Mira was kind but distant. She spoke little and spent long hours in the throne chamber where the crown rested. Sometimes Rian saw her standing alone before the great window that looked out into space, her face calm but her eyes full of thought. He wanted to ask her why she chose him, but each time he stopped himself. She was a queen, and he was just a man who did not belong in her world. One evening, after a day of hard training, Rian walked through the royal garden. The twin moons hung above, and the air was full of the sound of glowing insects. As he sat near a fountain, he noticed one of the small cleaning drones had stopped moving. He took out his tool and opened its panel to fix it. Inside, he found something unusual, a small glowing symbol carved into its core. It was shaped like a spiral sun. He froze. That symbol matched the faint birthmark on his own wrist. He stared at it in disbelief. How could this same mark be inside a royal machine? He quickly repaired the drone, but the question burned in his mind. The next morning, he decided to take a risk. When he entered the throne room, the queen was alone. The light from the sun shone through the crystal ceiling, making her robe sparkle. He knelt before her and said, "Your Majesty, may I ask you something personal?" She looked at him with calm eyes. "You may ask." He showed her his wrist. "This mark. It is on one of your drones, too." "What does it mean?" For a moment, her calm expression changed. She stepped closer and touched his wrist gently. The symbol glowed faintly under her touch. Her voice lowered. "Where did you find the other mark?" "On a maintenance drone in the garden," he said. The queen closed her eyes briefly, then dismissed the nearby guards with a wave. When they were alone, she said that mark is older than this palace. It belongs to the line of the Solara Protectors. Rian frowned. Solara Protectors. She nodded. Long before Orion Prime was built, before the stars were colonized, the humans of the old world made a pact with the crown of Solara. It chose a guardian bloodline. One meant to hold its light and protect humanity from the void. That bloodline vanished centuries ago. The mark you bear is their sign. Rian felt his heart race. "You mean I am part of that bloodline?" "I do not know," she said softly. "But the crown chose you, and it never chooses without reason." Rian stood silent, trying to understand. His parents had been simple workers. They never spoke of any ancient heritage. He looked at the queen, but she seemed distant again, her eyes fixed on something unseen. "Why tell me this now?" he asked. "Because the choice of the crown has meaning," she said. "But it also has danger. If the crown's light has returned, then so too may the darkness it once defeated." He wanted to ask more, but the queen turned away. "You will continue your training. Soon you will see why you were chosen." That night, Rian could not sleep. He stood by the window and watched the twin moons drift across the sky. The city below was quiet, glowing with silver lights. He touched the mark on his wrist again, feeling its faint warmth. For the first time, he felt that his life was part of something far greater than he ever imagined. In the distance, thunder rolled across the upper atmosphere. Strange flashes of light moved beyond the horizon, like storms from another world. The palace sensors began to hum softly, detecting something in orbit. Rian did not know it yet, but the first sign of danger had already appeared. Inside the throne room, Queen Mira stood alone before the ancient crown. The living metal pulsed faintly with golden light. She whispered to herself, "The time begins again." The palace of Orion Prime stood like a silver heart at the center of the capital. Days turned into weeks since the selection, and Rian's new life became a storm of training, study, and royal lessons. Every morning he learned combat from the royal guards, and every evening he studied history with the scholars. The queen's decision to choose him had shocked the court, but no one dared question her again after the ceremony. Yet deep inside, Rian still felt lost. He could not understand what made him special. The mark on his wrist glowed faintly at night. He tried to ignore it, but the light returned every time he touched metal or stood near the crown. Sometimes he felt it pulse like a small heartbeat. The queen had said it belonged to the Solara bloodline, but that story felt like a legend. He was a mechanic, not a hero from old tales. One morning, he joined the guards for flight drills. The training grounds stretched across the sky, made of floating platforms connected by light bridges. Commander Ravel, a stern woman with bright eyes, watched him carefully. "You are still slow, Rian," she said, as his hoverblade wobbled through the air. "Balance your center and trust your instincts." He nodded, trying again. The wind rushed past his face as he guided the hoverblade forward. It was hard to focus while the others moved like birds around him. Ravel shouted, "Do not fight the wind. Feel it." Rian took a deep breath and adjusted his grip. Slowly, he found his rhythm. The hoverblade steadied, gliding smoother through the air. He smiled slightly. Ravel crossed her arms, but gave a small nod of approval. "Better, the queen must have seen something in you. Let us hope she was right." After training, Rian visited the mechanical hall to repair damaged scout drones. He liked being around machines. Their steady sounds helped him think. As he opened the core of one drone, a memory chip slid out. It bore the same spiral sun symbol he had seen before. He paused. Remembering the queen's words about the Solara protectors, he took the chip to his quarters and placed it in his tablet. A series of ancient files opened, full of old images and recordings. One file caught his eye, a video labeled Project Solara, Final Entry. When he played it, a hologram appeared. An older woman in armor spoke with urgency. "If you are seeing this, the Solara bloodline has survived. The crown's energy is alive within you. The void storms will return, and only one with the mark can awaken the heart again." The recording ended in static. Rian sat frozen. The words echoed in his mind, "The void storms will return." He remembered the strange flashes of light in the sky the night he found his mark. Could it be connected? He decided to speak to the queen again. That evening, when the palace lights dimmed and the stars filled the glass ceiling, Rian entered the throne room. The guards bowed and stepped aside. Queen Mira stood beside the great window, her eyes lost in the stars. He knelt. "Your Majesty, I found something. A file called Project Solara. It said the void storms will return." The queen turned slowly. Her expression remained calm, but her eyes showed a hint of worry. "You should not have found that file." "I needed to understand," Rian said quietly. "If danger's coming, we must prepare." The queen walked toward him. "The void storms are not just weather. They are living energy from beyond our universe. Long ago, they tried to consume the stars. The crown was created to protect us, but its power needed a human bond. That is the Solara line." Rian stood, his heart pounding. "Then you believe I am from that line?" "The crown believes," she said softly. "It reacts to your presence. When it chose you, it was not my will. It was destiny." He looked at the glowing crown on her head. "You said it chooses beyond names and titles. But why me?" "I do not even know my family's history," the queen sighed. "The crown senses the spirit of the one who can balance light and duty. Perhaps you carry more of that spirit than you know. But there is another truth you must hear." She raised her hand, and a projection formed between them. It showed the stars twisting into dark whirlpools. "This is what the ancient records call the Void Legion. They live within the storms and feed on energy. The last protector sacrificed himself to seal them away. That protector carried the same mark as you." Rian felt cold. The thought of facing such danger was beyond his imagination. "Are they returning?" "Yes," the queen said. "The sensors at the edge of our system have detected movement within the void, small at first, but growing. Then we must warn the colonies." "I already have," she said. "But fear spreads faster than truth. The people need hope, and that is why the crown called you. It remembers your bloodline." Rian took a deep breath. If I am truly the protector, tell me what I must do. She looked at him with quiet pride. Courage suits you, Rian. You must journey to the inner sanctum beneath the palace. There lies the heart of Solara. It has been silent for centuries. Only one with the mark can awaken it. He bowed. I will go. The queen placed her hand on his shoulder. Do not fear what you will find. The heart will test you. That night, Rian descended into the depths of the palace. He passed through long halls lined with ancient carvings and golden lights. The air grew warmer the deeper he went. Finally, he reached a great door carved with symbols of the sun. He placed his marked wrist on it. The door opened silently, revealing a vast chamber glowing with blue energy. At the center floated a crystal sphere the size of a man. It pulsed like a living heart. Rian stepped closer. The mark on his wrist shone brightly, and the air filled with a humming sound. Energy flowed between the sphere and his body. And images flashed before his eyes, memories of battles fought among stars, of warriors wearing the same mark, of the queen's ancestors kneeling before the crown. A voice echoed in his mind. Child of Solara, the line has not ended. The light calls you. Rian felt heat surge through his body. He fell to one knee, struggling to breathe. The mark burned, but it was not pain, it was power. The light around him grew until the entire chamber glowed gold. Then, as quickly as it began, it stopped. The sphere floated quietly again. When he opened his eyes, he saw a faint trail of light leading to a small pedestal. On it rested a golden ring etched with the same spiral sun symbol. He reached for it, and the ring attached itself to his hand, merging with the mark. The voice spoke again. You are the link between the crown and the heart. Protect the light, or darkness will rise once more. The energy faded, and silence returned. Rian stood, breathing heavily. He understood now that his path was no longer ordinary. The queen's choice was not random. He had been called for a purpose that stretched beyond one lifetime. When he returned to the throne room, dawn was rising over Orion Prime. Queen Mira stood waiting. You found the heart, she said. Yes, Rian replied. It spoke to me. Then the bond is complete, she said. You are now the guardian of Solara. The heart's power flows through you, and it will answer your call. He looked at her in wonder. You knew this would happen, I hoped, she said with a soft smile. The crown remembers what I cannot. It saw your strength long before you saw it yourself. Rian looked out at the rising suns. If the Void Legion returns, I will not run. I will protect our people, the queen nodded, and I will stand beside you. Together we will face what comes. For the first time, Rian saw more than a ruler in her eyes. He saw a leader who carried the weight of countless lives, yet still trusted a simple man chosen by fate. The queen's faith gave him courage. He realized that destiny was not just about power, it was about choice, belief, and the will to act. As the light filled the throne room, the mark on his wrist glowed again. The crown above the queen shimmered in answer. Somewhere far beyond the stars, in the dark reaches of space, a shadow stirred. Sensing the awakening of the light it once feared, Rian did not know how close the danger was, but he knew one thing clearly. He was no longer just an engineer. He was the chosen protector of humanity's oldest promise, and his story had only begun. The morning light spilled across the palace towers of Orion Prime, but Rian hardly noticed. His mind was still filled with the memory of the heart of Solara. The glowing crystal sphere, the golden ring, and the pulsing power within him had changed his life forever. Every time he touched his wrist, he felt warmth and energy flowing through him. He could not explain it, but he knew he had been chosen for something greater than he had ever imagined. The queen entered his training hall quietly. Her silver robes shimmered with the morning light, and her eyes were calm yet intense. Rian, you must now learn the truth, she said softly. There is a place beneath this palace that has been sealed for centuries. It is called the Forbidden Chamber. No one may enter until the chosen one arrives. You are that one, Rian frowned. What is in the Forbidden Chamber? Why has it been sealed? The queen turned and led him through corridors lined with shifting lights and ancient carvings. The chamber holds the knowledge and power of the Solara protectors. It contains the secrets of our past, the strength of the crown, and the key to defeating the darkness. But it is also a test. Only someone who carries the mark and the courage to face it can survive. Rian's heart raced. He had faced challenges in his training, but this felt different. This was not about physical strength or skill with weapons. This was about something deeper, something connected to the energy that pulsed within him. They reached a massive door, taller than any Rian had ever seen. The metal was smooth and black, but strange symbols glowed faintly across its surface. The queen placed her hand on the door, and it hummed softly. "Place your mark here," she instructed. Rian extended his wrist. The spiral sun symbol on his skin glowed bright as it touched the door. The symbols on the door flared with light, and slowly it opened. Beyond the threshold was a vast chamber bathed in soft blue light. Rian stepped inside carefully. The air felt alive. It moved around him as if it had its own consciousness. Strange energy currents swirled through the room, brushing his skin like a gentle wind. In the center of the chamber, suspended in midair, was a glowing crystal structure shaped like a heart. It pulsed rhythmically, brightening and dimming with a soft golden glow. This was the heart of Solara, but it seemed larger here, more powerful, as if the chamber had amplified its energy. Rian approached it slowly. The energy reacted to him instantly. Streams of golden light connected to his ring and his mark, flowing through his body. His vision blurred for a moment, and he saw flashes of history. Images of humans battling shadows across distant worlds, warriors wearing similar marks, and Queen Mira standing beside them flashed before his eyes. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the power. I can feel everything," he whispered. "I can feel the crown, the heart, and the past protectors." A voice echoed inside his mind, calm and commanding. "Child of Solara, the line has not ended. You are the link. You must protect the light, or darkness will rise again." Rian took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He had always believed he was an ordinary man, a simple engineer. But now, he could feel the weight of destiny pressing on him. He looked at Queen Mira. She stood silently, her eyes calm but filled with pride. "Will I survive this test?" he asked. "You will," she said. "If you trust the power inside you, if you trust yourself." Rian stood and reached toward the heart. As he touched it, streams of energy wrapped around him like ribbons of light. He felt every heartbeat of the crystal, every memory of the past protectors, and every warning of the future. He felt fear, but also courage. He understood that his life had changed forever. Suddenly, the chamber shook. Energy sparks filled the air. Shadows, dark and swirling, began to rise from the floor. They were shapes made of darkness itself, and they moved like living beings. The heart of Solara pulsed faster, and the golden light wrapped tightly around Rian. He realized that this was the test the queen had warned him about. The shadows lunged at him, but he did not run. Instead, he focused on the energy inside him, letting it flow through his ring and mark. Streams of golden light shot from his hands, pushing the shadows back. Each time he struck, the shadows screamed with silent rage, dissolving into mist. Rian's body glowed brighter with every movement. He could feel the power of every protector who had come before him. Their courage and strength flowed into him, guiding his hands and feet. He moved with precision, even as fear threatened to overwhelm him. The shadows reformed stronger and faster. Rian realized that raw strength was not enough. He needed to understand them, to see their pattern. He closed his eyes briefly, feeling the heart's rhythm. Then, with perfect timing, he moved, creating a wave of golden energy that swept across the chamber. The shadows screamed again, but this time they vanished completely. When Rian opened his eyes, the chamber was silent. The heart floated gently, its light soft and warm. The mark on his wrist glowed faintly, but no longer burned. He felt exhausted but alive. He had passed the first test of the forbidden chamber. Queen Mira stepped forward, her face calm but proud. "You have faced the shadows and survived. You are no longer just chosen. You are the guardian of Solara." Rian bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. I did not know I could do it. You did not have to know, she said. The power was always within you. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear. Rian felt a new understanding. He realized that the heart and the mark were not just tools of power. They were a connection to the past, a responsibility to the present, and a guide for the future. He could feel the weight of generations of protectors, all trusting him to continue their mission. The queen led him to a pedestal near the war heart. On it rested a small crystal tablet. This contains the knowledge of all past protectors. It will teach you how to use the heart, how to defend against the void, and how to lead our people. Rian picked it up carefully. As he touched it, new memories and visions filled his mind. He saw strategies used to defend entire planets, methods of controlling the heart's energy, and warnings of dangers yet to come. It was overwhelming, but he understood that this knowledge was necessary. Hours passed as he absorbed the information. By the time he finally stepped out of the forbidden chamber, the suns had set. The palace was bathed in soft moonlight, and the city below glowed like silver stars. He felt different, stronger, but also more aware of the responsibilities ahead. Queen Mira walked beside him. The first step is complete, she said, but the real challenge is still ahead. The Void Legion will not wait. They sense the awakening of the heart, and they will move soon. Rian nodded. Then we must be ready. I will protect our people, no matter what comes. The queen looked at him with a faint smile. And you will not be alone. I will stand with you. Together, we will face the darkness and ensure that humanity survives. For the first time, Rian felt the true weight of being chosen. He was no longer an ordinary man. He was the guardian of Solara, protector of the crown, and link between the past and the future. His journey had only begun, and already he understood that the fate of many worlds depended on him. As they walked through the palace halls, the twin moons reflected on the glass towers. Somewhere in the distance, shadows stirred across the edge of the galaxy. Sensing the awakening of the heart, the war to protect the stars had not yet begun, but the first step had been taken. Rian was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed not just with power, but with courage and determination. The Forbidden Chamber had tested him, revealed his strength, and connected him to the legacy of the Solara protectors. Now he knew he was capable of more than he had ever imagined. The path forward would be difficult, but for the first time, he felt the calm certainty that he was not just chosen by destiny, he was ready to meet it. Rian stood on the observation deck of Aurora Prime, staring at the swirling lights of the distant nebula. The colors were bright and beautiful, but his mind was heavy. The discovery he had made in the Queen's archives haunted him. He was not chosen because of skill alone. He was chosen because of a prophecy. The prophecy spoke of a human who would face an unimaginable threat, make choices that could change the fate of the galaxy. He had always considered himself ordinary. A scientist, curious and clever, yes, but nothing extraordinary. Now, he realized that his life was tied to something far greater than he could have imagined. He could feel the weight of the responsibility pressing down on him. Every step he took, every decision he made, could affect billions of lives across countless worlds. Rian's thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice behind him. You are thinking too much. Rian, Queen Solara said, her tone calm but commanding. She stepped beside him, her presence a mixture of strength and grace. Her eyes, a pale silver, seemed to look directly into his soul. Fear is natural, but hesitation will not serve you. You must act, even when the path is unclear. Rian turned to face her. I understand, Your Majesty, but the prophecy, it is frightening. I do not know if I am capable of what it demands. Solara placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. It is not your ability alone that matters. It is your humanity, your choices, your courage, your compassion. These are things no other species possesses in the same way. You are the one who can see beyond the obvious. That is why you were chosen. Her words gave Rian some comfort, but his fear did not vanish. The threat predicted in the prophecy was drawing near. Reports had come in from the outer sectors. A fleet of unknown ships, dark and silent, was approaching Aurora Prime. They had not communicated, and their intentions were unclear. Rian followed Solara to the command center, where the Queen's advisors were gathered. The room was alive with energy, monitors displaying star maps and data streams. Aliens of different shapes and sizes moved with precision, analyzing information. Rian could feel the tension in the air. "We do not know who they are," one of the advisors said, a tall alien with green skin and many eyes. "They appeared suddenly. They have no markings, no signals, no communication." Solara's expression remained calm. "We will not assume hostility. Prepare defenses, but remain vigilant. Rian, you will assist me in coordinating the response. Your insight is needed." Rian nodded, swallowing his fear. He was unsure how his human perspective could help, but he trusted Solara's judgment. He moved to a console and began studying the fleet's formation. There was something unusual about it. The ships moved with precise patterns, but their energy signatures were inconsistent. It was as if they were testing the station rather than attacking outright. Suddenly an alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the command center. The alien fleet had fired a warning shot. A massive energy pulse hit the outer shield of Aurora Prime. The station shuddered, and objects fell from their places. The sound was deafening. Ian froze. He could feel his heart racing. He remembered the prophecy. He remembered the hidden file he had discovered. This was the moment the prophecy spoke of. He had to act, but fear threatened to paralyze him. Solara's voice broke through his panic. "Rian, focus. Think as a human, not as a soldier. Analyze the situation and act." Rian took a deep breath. He studied the data, looking for a pattern. The fleet's energy pulses were strong, but not continuous. There were gaps, moments when their shields weakened. He realized that the enemy ships were not invincible. They were relying on intimidation, not strategy. He spoke quickly. "Your Majesty, if we reposition our defense grids to exploit the gaps in their energy pulses, we can avoid major damage. We can also create a signal that mimics their formation, tricking them into thinking we are stronger than we are." Yes. Solara's eyes lit up. "Do it, Rian. You are thinking beyond the obvious." Rian worked quickly, issuing commands to the station's defense systems. He adjusted the energy grids, coordinated the shield timing, and programmed a visual signal to mimic the enemy's formation. His hands moved over the console with precision. His mind focused entirely on the task. The alien fleet responded almost immediately. Their ships shifted, reacting to the signal Rian had created. The energy pulses no longer struck the station directly. Aurora Prime remained intact. Though the tension in the command center did not lessen, Rian realized that this was only the beginning. The prophecy mentioned a weapon hidden within the station itself. That could destroy everything if it fell into the wrong hands. He knew that the aliens were after it. The file he had discovered had hinted at its location, but had not explained how to access it safely. He turned to Solara. "There is a weapon in the station. If they find it, they could destroy us all. I need to get to it before they do." Solara nodded. "You must, Rian. Time is critical. I will support you, but you must rely on your instincts. Trust yourself." Rian felt a surge of determination. He moved through the corridors of Aurora Prime, navigating past the chaos caused by the alien fleet's approach. Emergency lights flashed and alarms echoed through the halls. He encountered a group of aliens trying to block his path. "I am heading to the weapon chamber," he said firmly. "Step aside." The aliens hesitated, then recognized the authority of the Queen's command. They stepped back, allowing Rian to pass. He reached the entrance to the weapon chamber, a massive door with intricate locks and energy barriers. He examined the mechanisms carefully, remembering the clues from the prophecy. Rian's mind raced. The chamber required not just technical skill, but an understanding of intention and morality. The weapon could be activated by force, but only a person who chose wisely could access it safely. He placed his hands on the console and focused. He thought of the lives at stake, of the station, of the aliens and humans who depended on him. The locks clicked. The energy barriers dissipated. The chamber opened, revealing the weapon, a complex device glowing with immense power. Rian approached carefully. He could feel the energy pulsing around him. Threatening to overwhelm anyone who acted hastily, he remembered the prophecy's words. The human will see the path unseen, and through choice, will prevent destruction. He understood that this was not about strength. It was about wisdom and restraint. Rian analyzed the weapon, discovering its control systems. He realized that it was designed for destruction, but could be repurposed to neutralize the alien fleet without harming them. The device required precise calculations and moral judgment. One wrong input could trigger disaster. He worked methodically, his hands steady despite the pressure. He recalibrated the energy output, adjusted the targeting system, and created a neutralizing field that would deactivate the enemy ship's aggressive energy pulses. Outside, the alien fleet paused, sensing a change. Rian activated the device. A wave of energy radiated from the station, harmless in appearance, but powerful in effect. The enemy ship's energy pulses faltered. Their movements became erratic. The fleet, unable to adapt to the unexpected human solution, began to retreat. Rian breathed heavily, relief washing over him. He had done it. He had faced the fear, frozen only for a moment, and then acted with clarity and courage. The station was safe, and the immediate threat had passed. He returned to the command center, where Solara and the advisors awaited. The Queen's eyes shone with approval. "You have done well, Rian. You have proven that humanity's spirit is a force even the most advanced civilizations cannot predict." Rian felt a mix of pride and humility. He had faced the prophecy, faced fear, and made choices that saved countless lives. He understood now that being chosen was not about privilege. It was about the responsibility to act wisely, courageously, and with compassion. Solara extended her hand. "Rian, you are no longer just a chosen human. You are a protector, a symbol of what humanity can achieve. The galaxy has seen your courage today, and it will remember it." Rian nodded, feeling the weight of his role, but also a sense of purpose he had never known before. He looked out at the stars again, now not with fear, but with determination. The prophecy was far from over, but he was ready. In that moment, Rian understood that being human was a strength. Unpredictable, compassionate, courageous, and wise. He had faced what froze him, and through his choices he had triumphed. Aurora Prime was safe, but more importantly, Rian had discovered the power within himself, the power of humanity. The aftermath of the attack left Aurora Prime quiet but not calm. Rian walked through the corridors of the station, still feeling the echo of alarms in his mind. The alien fleet had retreated beyond the nebula, but their presence lingered like a shadow. The station was safe for now, but Rian knew that the prophecy had not yet fully played out. There were challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast. Rian's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. Queen Solara appeared, her silver eyes calm yet filled with intensity. "Rian, you have proven yourself today," she said. "You faced fear and hesitation, and you acted with wisdom and courage. The galaxy is watching. It will see that humanity is not to be underestimated." Rian bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I could to protect the station and its people." Solara smiled, but there was a seriousness beneath her expression. "It is not just the station you protected. You preserved the balance of power, and you showed that humans can be a force for good in the galaxy. That is why you were chosen." Rian felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had never imagined that an ordinary human like himself could have such influence. But he also understood that this was only the beginning. The prophecy was far from complete. He was escorted to the command center, where the Queen's Council awaited him. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the room, their expressions a mixture of respect and curiosity. Many had doubted Rian's ability before the attack, but now they looked at him with admiration. One of the advisors, a tall being with shimmering blue skin, spoke. "Rian, your actions today were extraordinary. How did you come up with a solution so quickly?" Rian shrugged. I only looked at the problem differently. Sometimes the solution is not in force or technology alone. It is in understanding and seeing what others cannot. Solara nodded in agreement. That is why humans are so valuable. Your kind is unpredictable, compassionate, and courageous. These qualities cannot be measured by skill alone. They are what make you capable of greatness. Rian felt a warmth in his chest. He had always wondered if humans truly mattered in a galaxy dominated by aliens. Now he knew that humans had something unique to offer. The Queen's words were interrupted by a sudden alert. Another fleet was approaching, but this one was not hostile. Ships from allied planets arrived, responding to the signals sent during the attack. They had come to offer support and protection. Rian watched as the allies formed a protective formation around Aurora Prime. The sight was reassuring. The galaxy was vast, and dangers were many, but humanity was not alone. Together with other civilizations, they could face any challenge. Solara turned to Rian. You have earned a place beside me, not as a servant, but as a partner. The prophecy is ongoing, and your guidance will be needed. Will you accept this responsibility? Rian felt a moment of hesitation. The weight of the responsibility was immense, but he remembered the fear he had felt the moment he had frozen before the enemy's attack. He had overcome it. He had acted with clarity and courage. I will, Your Majesty, Rian said firmly. I will do everything I can to protect the galaxy and ensure peace. Solara placed a hand on his shoulder. Then let us begin a new chapter, Rian, one where humanity's potential is recognized and valued. One where humans are not only survivors but leaders. The following days were filled with preparation and celebration. Rian worked with the Queen and her council to strengthen Aurora Prime's defenses, improve communication with allied planets, and share strategies that relied on human ingenuity. His human perspective brought new ideas, surprising even the most experienced alien advisors. He also spent time studying the weapon he had discovered. It was powerful, capable of immense destruction, but Rian found ways to use its energy to benefit the station and its allies. He developed protective shields, improved energy efficiency, and created systems that could neutralize threats without harming anyone. Through his efforts, Rian earned respect not just as a human, but as a strategist, a protector, and a thinker. The aliens who had doubted him now sought his advice. They began to understand what the Queen had seen all along, that humans were capable of extraordinary influence through creativity, compassion, and moral judgment. Rian also grew closer to Solara. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and understanding. She valued his insight, and he admired her wisdom and leadership. Together, they worked to strengthen alliances, promote peace, prepare for future challenges. One evening, Rian stood on the observation deck again, looking at the stars. The nebula shone brightly, a reminder of the battle they had survived. He thought about the prophecy, about the choices he had made, and about the future. He realized that being human was not a limitation. It was a strength. Humans could adapt, think creatively, and act with compassion in ways that other species could not. That was why he had been chosen, and that was why humanity mattered in the galaxy. Solara joined him on the deck. You are thinking? She said softly. Rian nodded. I am thinking about what comes next. The galaxy is vast, and there will be more challenges. But I am ready. I understand now what it means to be chosen. It is not about honor alone. It is about responsibility and action. Solara smiled. You have learned well, Rian, and you will continue to learn. But know this. Your humanity is your greatest strength. Never forget it. In the days that followed, Aurora Prime became a symbol of hope and cooperation. Humans were no longer seen as ordinary. They were respected for their courage, wisdom, and moral clarity. Rian traveled to other planets, sharing knowledge and strategies, forging alliances, and teaching others the value of human perspective. He faced challenges. Yes, but he faced them with confidence and determination. Each obstacle was an opportunity to demonstrate that humans could rise to any occasion. He became a legend not because of power alone, but because of his choices, his courage, and his ability to inspire others. The prophecy continued, but Rian no longer feared it. He understood that it was not a prediction of doom, but a call to action. Humans were capable of shaping their destiny and influencing the galaxy in ways no one else could. Years passed, Rian's role grew. He advised Solara, helped maintain peace, and continued to develop strategies that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. The galaxy changed, slowly but surely, as humans and aliens worked together. Trust was built. Understanding grew. Rian often reflected on the moment he had first frozen when he discovered the prophecy. That fear had taught him something vital, that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. That lesson guided him in every decision he made. One day, Rian stood again in the Queen's chambers, looking at Solara. "I understand now," he said. Being chosen was never about privilege. It was about responsibility, about using what makes us human to protect and guide the galaxy. Solara nodded. "And you have done so well, Rian. Humanity has a place among the stars. It's not because of strength alone, but because of wisdom, compassion, and courage. You have proven that humans can shape the future." Rian smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and the weight of prophecy. He had acted wisely, guided by his human instincts, and in doing so, he had saved countless lives. As he looked out at the galaxy, he knew that challenges would come again. But he was ready. He understood now what it meant to be human and chosen. He understood the power of choices, courage, and compassion. And he knew that humanity would always rise to meet the stars. Aurora Prime thrived. Humans became leaders, teachers, and protectors across the galaxy. Rian's name was remembered not just as a hero, but as a symbol of human potential. And in the quiet moments, when he gazed at the nebula, he felt a profound connection to all the stars. Knowing that humanity's spirit would always shine brightly, guiding the galaxy toward hope and harmony. The story of Rian, the human chosen by Queen Solara, became a tale told across generations. It was a story of courage, wisdom, and the power of humanity. It reminded everyone that even in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations, the human spirit was a force unlike any other, capable of shaping destiny through choices, compassion, and courage. And so, Rian stood among the stars, not as an ordinary human, but as a beacon of hope. The prophecy had been fulfilled, not through strength or conquest, but through humanity's greatest gifts. The galaxy had learned the truth. Humans, though often underestimated, were capable of greatness beyond imagination. And with that knowledge, the future was bright, and the stars awaited the next chapter of human triumph.